Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Comics Unlimited. Let me ask you a question. Does anybody know in the U.S. a comic book called TV 21? I think it's TV Century 21. Century 21, I think, it reminds me of the real estate company here in America. But from what I understand, it is the best British comic book out there. Again, some of us are biased on this show. My co-host might be, but I'm going to give it a chance because it looks really, really good. It's from the 60s, and I think you guys are going to enjoy it.
Welcome to the Comics Unlimited podcast with your hosts, Glenn B. Fleming and Ted Davis.
How are we doing, Ted?
Good. How are you? Okay. You go ahead first. You go first this time. Go ahead. Who are you?
Oh, I'm Glenn Fleming, and I am a co-host of Comics Unlimited podcast, and this is my big buddy here in Michigan with
big
the strange
buddy.
hat.
I like that. Big
with
buddy.
The strange hat.
That's all right.
Ted Davis.
Thank you for that great intro. My name's
no
Ted
good
Davies.
As a leader.
What? Yeah. That's right. My name's Ted Davies. I'm an artist and author, best known for Retrieve and Grim 101, and of course our publication, Comics Unlimited. If you can see it here, in the light here. There we go. That's the beauty.
Fabulous design on that. Who did that?
I don't know. He's amazing though. Whoever he is. So check out everything that we're doing on Comics Unlimited. You can find that on Amazon under Glenn B. Fleming under his page. And get yourself a copy of it. It's coming out quarterly. We got a lot of things lined up for that coming up. If you guys are interested in advertising, let us know. Speaking of advertising, we are very happy to have Cashman's Comics as our, I can't think of the word right now, sponsor. It's been a long morning. Sponsorship. And check out everything that John and Petey the guard dog, but check out what John's doing down at Cashman's Comics. They've been in Bay City for 26 years. Supplying all the comic needs for everybody in the area, and they do ship nationwide and worldwide. So check out everything they're doing at cashmanscomics.com. I want to say good morning to everybody. Do you want to say good morning to everybody? I don't know. Do you want to, Glenn?
Do I? Hello, everybody. You all know who I am. I'm a writer and artist too.
Oh, forgot. Yeah.
And
you're supposed to do that at the beginning, man.
I know. I told you I'm no good at the intro.
Tell them what book you just wrote, though.
Oh, this
got
book,
it handy?
this is the best book in the world. You've got to read this. This is a book that talks about my trip to see Jack Kirby. And it's full of photographs of me with him. Look at that. Me and Jack Kirby there. Look at that. Look at that.
Best.
And there he is. Look, there's me.
And you've got your work on Jack Kirby's desk.
My work is on Jack Kirby's desk.
Crazy.
And there it is. Look at that. Just want to see that there. Look, can you see that? That's my work on his desk. And he gave me a crate, and Roz gave me a crate, which was even more scary than Jack talking about it. But there's also a DVD of me speaking with him in his studio. So that's interesting. Very interesting.
A day in the life of Kirby the man versus Kirby the king. So
and
check it out. Where can you get it?
It's on in demand on Indiegogo at the moment.
Awesome. We should probably send that link out here too. We want to say hi to everybody first in the queue. Let's go through the list here. Pete Ryan's in the house. Good morning, Pete. Carl Witzman, Donna. Good morning, guys. Staple people here. And of course, we got Jody in the house. I got a few other people. We are on Twitch now too, so we're broadcasting there. We want to say hi to everybody on Twitch. We're just starting out with that. A little bit of that platform. We're trying that out now. I'm going to be doing a lot of streaming and stuff coming up with my new show coming up. So that's going to be, we're doing a lot of that, and it's going to be a lot on Twitch and all that. So simultaneously, as they say. Okay, so let's talk about what's going on with this. Tell me about this comic book that this magazine, or what was it?
Yeah, it's not. It finished in about 1969, I think, or early 70s, because it linked in with another one called Looking. But what it was essentially was a like a vehicle for Jerry Anderson's Super Marination, Thunderbirds and Stingray and Fireball XL5.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's so good because it used a printing technique called photogravure, which is a mechanical process that uses copper plates. It uses gelatin tissues, which you play on the top, you lay on the top, and it makes high quality intaglio plates, and it was invented to recreate photographs to such fine detail, whereas the normal printing presses that they do the Beano on and they do Marvel Comics on aren't not that sophisticated presses. And when you see TV21, it was printed on really, really nice paper as well. And the artwork was all hand painted, or most of it was hand painted by a lot of the greats from the British, British artists. And it could be reproduced perfectly rather than be coloured like the Marvel comics were coloured with the just screens and stuff like that. These are you've got some examples there. I think you've got hand painted work, which is why I'm such a fan of it and why I do it.
Right.
But the thing was that it was created at the same time as photography, which I found was really odd, that they were looking for something that could reproduce photographs before they had photographs. So the first known photograph is 1826. So I'm thinking that there must have been others before that for the guys to come along. I think it was a British one person working on it. It was a guy called Talbot, and he created this photogravure for art prints, and that's what it's used for now, art prints. They don't use it for normal press stuff, magazines and things. Are different techniques now, but this photogravure is what you use for art prints because it's so good, so many millions of dots per inch, and all this kind of thing. It's a really, really sharp picture. And when you see TV21, I mean, even as a 10-year-old when it came out, when I bought it, it was bigger than a comic book. It was like a tabloid newspaper size.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's and remains just absolutely beautiful. And
that was your first comic, though. Really, it wasn't comic books. It was this. Was it? You're 10 on this one, right? Or
my first comics were the things like the Beano and Topper, which were just what I call cartoons.
Yeah.
But I've said this before, that TV21, that they depicted the Thunderbird people as real people. They didn't draw them with big heads, like they've got. They drew them as real people. But all the artwork is hand colored. Beautiful artwork by Frank Bellamy and Mike Noble and people like that.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about this. I mean, this is it's the front cover. You talk to people about this. What strikes his head?
This is, it's not a very good reproduction, is it? That's my fault. But that's Mike Noble. That's Mike Noble there, and Mike Noble was an artist. When he was in the army, he used to draw all the manuals for the training because he was so good at drawing weapons and things like that. And then when he produced this, he'd be in his mid-30s and mid-60s, and this is Captain Scarlet, obviously. But this artwork is, you can see, it's just all hand painted. It's just beautiful artwork. And then you've got TV, as you said at the beginning, it started out as TV Century 21 because all these Jerry Anderson programs were depicted 100 years from then, so sort of 2065. And even on the comic, it says 2065 on the date. It says Dateline 2065.
That's cool. That's kind of neat. I like how they did that. That's cool.
And what they also did, it was created by a guy called Alan Fennell, and he wrote many of the Stingray episodes and the Thunderbirds for Jerry Anderson. So he became editor of the magazine and wrote a lot of the stories. And they did, this is at the same time as Stan Lee was making like what we call now the Marvel universe, by having crossovers. Well, in the TV programs, you won't get Captain Scarlet in Thunderbirds or Thunderbirds in Captain Scarlet, but in the magazine you do. You get all the different.
That's interesting.
Making a universe, so to speak.
Got it. And you said that the run was how long? It was monthly or what?
It was weekly. It was every week. It started on the 23rd of January, 65 and ended about 1972, but it ended out as a joint venture with a magazine called Looking. And my claim to fame on TV21 is that the Thunderbirds weren't in it until issue 52. So it was a year old, and that was published on my 11th birthday. Get that. In fact, you've got a picture of it there. So on my 11th birthday, I went to the shop, and there it was, Thunderbirds Argo.
And
And
what was that like? Tell everybody what that was. Tell everybody about that experience.
it was just fantastic because, like I say, we'd seen Thunderbirds for a few weeks. We
Mhm.
knew it was coming into TV21 because it had to, because it was Jerry Anderson's, magazine. We knew it was coming. And then there it was, issue 52. And the publication date is my birthday, my 11th birthday.
That's
so it's
cool.
like I'm
Well,
walking
you're
around.
supposed to. Yeah, that's that.
I'm walking around school with it because it's mine.
That's cool. I don't know if anybody in the queues read this or seen them over the years. I don't remember seeing them in
I
the
don't think it was
US at all.
published. I don't think it was published in the. Oh, it might not have even been in Europe. I'm not sure. It might have just been Great Britain.
If you guys are finding it interesting, though, please like and share this out because I think it's a fascinating thing. I like learning about other things that you're growing up with over the pond versus what we did here.
They had this great with Scarlet. They introduced. It might have been before Scarlet actually. When it first came out, they had a secret dial, and they put messages at the bottom of the page, and it'd say X25703AB, and you have to dial it up, and it'd say red code. So you have to go on the red code on your dial.
That's cool, man.
You have to decipher these little messages, and it'd say something like, "What will Captain Scarlet do next week? Find out." That's all it'd say.
That's cool, though. I mean, that's what a great marketing tool that is. We should all do that on our comics.
It's just fabulous.
What are this is some of the interior works too, or is this another front page? No, that's
the front. That's the front page.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, it was like a newspaper. You'd have these titles and then a photograph and all this kind of thing. And I think that's one of the reasons why they use the photogravure as well as the artwork, that they could reproduce these photographs so well. I mean, I know that looks a bit crappy, but I think that's the scan. And this is later. This is a couple of years old. This is 1967. Captain Black's there, and Titan and Stingray and all this. But what they would do is write it like a newspaper, as you can see, and then it says there, further report on page 16 and 17. Well, that would be the double page spread of where Stingray was in the center of the comic. It was really good, really well done. They used to have stock presses and stuff like that.
Sure.
This is later. This is just before it went into Look-In, September 71. Now, I don't know who this artist is, but this is when I was sort of moving away from it. I didn't like this art. And I didn't understand why Star Trek was in it, even though I like Star Trek. But obviously it was popular.
I was going to say that's a away ship right there. I mean, you can't miss that.
Yeah.
That architecture of that ship.
Yeah.
Now this is the one that Mike did that. I think Mike did the rocket ship there.
This is Ron Embleton.
Oh, really? Because they look so similar. Yeah, man, they look similar.
Yeah, that's Ron Embleton.
But that's a really cool. That's I mean, that's what when I think of all the Pulp Fiction, everything else.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly what I think of.
That thing would be landing on Mars, wouldn't it? Or
right.
Right. On just coming straight down, on its things there, on its legs there. Yeah, it's just wonderful. Ron Embleton's been dead a long time now. I think he died in about 1988. But I wanted to ask those guys how they got paid for that page, because they've only drawn 3 panels.
Yeah, right.
Because they'd leave half of it empty, wouldn't they? Because of the photograph and everything.
Right.
So I wonder what the page rate was for a third of a page. But yeah, it's wonderful.
Back then, there probably wasn't much. And I mean, it took a long time to do the paint. I mean, that must have taken him forever to get.
Well, Frank Bellamy. I think you've got a piece of Frank Bellamy out there. He's the best. Well,
which one's that one?
You've got some art. There's another piece of art with a sort of the pinky color. Looks like the dyes are fading a bit. Not that one.
No,
not that. Not that one. No, that's Mike Noble.
Yeah, these are the only 4 I got, man. Do you have another one you want to send over?
Right. Okay. I forgot where it was. Frank Bellamy. Bellamy would draw a double page spread for Thunderbirds in color. It's usually 17 panels over a double page spread, and it would take him 2 days to go from a blank piece of board to a finished color.
That's crazy.
He got paid 2 guineas for that, and the guinea was £1 and a shilling, which today probably 2 guineas today would probably be about $10, something like that. That's what he got.
Wow.
And that's why it took him 2 days, because he couldn't spend 3 days on it because he wanted to eat. He had to do something else.
Sure. do you think this is probably why you got involved in the publishing side of things?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, there was a lot of influences going on when I was younger. I'm really, really grateful for the universe for putting me at that time. There was such a lot of things going on for my young mind, being an artist as well, and just finding my way into that. I could see it was me dad who showed me that the TV21 artwork was hand painted as opposed to the Marvel comics. Now he didn't know a great deal about it, but he knew he could see what was going on.
Sure.
And he showed me. He'd get a Fantastic Four and he'd say, "See this?" And he'd say, "You know where the ink is going over the yellow? He said that's called bleed and all this." He was pretty clued up, my dad. And he said, "But this one," and he'd get a TV21 Mike Noble thing, and he'd say, "This is hand painted," and he was right. He was right. I mean, how he knew, I don't know. He was just a clever bloke. But he'd tell me about the different printing processes. And I really got into it because when I left school, only a few years later, when I left school, I wanted to be a printer. And there's a reason why I didn't do that, but that's another story. But I'm glad I didn't, because I'm an artist, not a printer.
Yeah.
I'll tell you the reason why I didn't do it was because I went to this. They used to publish the Daily Express in Manchester. And I went down there as a 15-year-old for an apprenticeship to be a printer. And when I got there, the guy who interviewed me told me dad, because I was only 15, he's not going to talk to me. He told me dad that it was a closed shop, very unionified, if that's a word.
Sure.
It was a closed shop. And he said, the only way that I would get a job is if I joined the union. And the only way I could join the union was if I got the job.
So,
which is what you do. And my dad told me on the way back that he said he wouldn't give me a job. They won't give me a job, and because it's a closed shop. Because what would happen is that guy's son would get the job.
Sure, that's the way. So, the way it works.
So I would imagine
it's the way it works here too, or it did work here. I don't know, long ago it did, but I had Carl. Well, actually, let me put this one. Carl says he used to love watching on the marionettes with this. And it was. I remember that whole era when Godzilla, everything, all those shows that we had back in the day. The airplanes wouldn't bank. They would turn like this. They'd go like,
that's right,
they'd start like a car. It was hysterical. But yeah, it was a lot of fun then. Corgi models. Listen, I have being over in Wales when I was a kid, I have so many Corgi Matchbox cars, Corgi, that style car from that era.
Yeah,
I mean, it was crazy. I don't think they even make them anymore.
No, they don't. But my friend of all time, Tim, his elder brother was the Asian agent for Corgi toys.
Oh, wow,
he went all over Indonesia, Australia.
Wow.
And this was in the mid-70s when nobody went anywhere really like that,
Yeah.
And he went all over India, he went all around there. I think he did that for about 10 years and then came home. He got married and came home. Got married to a lovely girl from Singapore. Still is.
Yep.
Gorgeous.
Yep. Cool. I remember I would go to the like Harrods and that. You would go and you could. The Corgi displays are unbelievable. I mean, not the car Corgi.
Yes.
But like I've got double-decker buses and Mercedes-Benz and the bigger versions and the smaller, just incredible. And the thing that was cool that I really enjoyed about Corgi, the designs were different. I was always used to American cars, Hot Wheels, and that kind of stuff. I remember Matchboxes when they came in the small box. I don't know if you remember that or not.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
And the Corgis did the same thing. They had some really cool cars, though.
Well,
something I've never seen before,
People don't get this, but I actually had a G.I. Joe.
Really?
Yeah. Before Action Man. He was before Action
Man.
Because in Britain, he was Action Man.
Right.
And I had a G.I. Joe, which was the Palitoy thing, the pre-runner to Action Man.
Yeah.
And because I was always envious of my friend Paul. He was quite wealthy, and he used to buy his G.I. Joe had 4 different helmets.
Yeah.
Mine only had one. He's had a snow helmet that was white and all this kind of stuff. And then I went down to his house one day, and his G.I. Joe had snow gear on. It was all white, and even his carbine was white. And I thought, I hated him. But Not really, but
I know what you're saying. Well, you're a kid. I mean,
I know.
okay. You said let's go back to the
Yep,
publication itself. You said it was every month that they came out,
every
or what was
week,
it? Every week. Okay.
Yeah,
So in that, did you lose them when your mom tossed out like the number one Spider-Man and everything, or what?
yep. But first thing I remember,
Heartbreaking. Wow.
yeah, I remember putting the end when my mum and dad were out. They've gone out all day somewhere, and I got every issue. I got about 100 issues. And I laid them all out in the front lounge.
Yeah.
I know it was like a carpet, and I was
Oh,
just
I'm
looking at
sure.
them. I'm just
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
them all.
Could
And
wallpaper the
then,
house. Yeah.
yeah, and then my brother came home, and we had the disagreement about something, and he started to rip the corners. This is what your siblings do to you. And then anyway, yeah, they all disappeared in the great purge of 1971, when
Wow.
all of a sudden I was too old to have these things. The whole thing, tell you, I'd be a millionaire. Mum, can you hear me? I'd be a millionaire. But there you go. I'm pretty sure that story applies to most people.
Yeah, my siblings are pretty cool. They
No,
wouldn't.
I mean, mothers making you get rid of them.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
It depends. I mean, some people are hoarders. Over here in America, we've got a lot of hoarders.
Yeah.
They just, stacks and piles of newspapers in the house, and I'm sure they've got them over there too. But yeah, my brothers and my sister wouldn't have survived if they would have ripped anything.
Yeah, he's older
of
than
mine.
me. So
There's no way.
He was older than me, so he would have just beaten me to a pulp, wouldn't he? So
Yeah, that's a shame. Well, I mean, at least you
I
got
asked
them.
I asked him
Mhm.
about it as well a few years ago, and he didn't remember.
Yeah.
So anyway, sorry.
Well, I mean, it's that's the way it goes sometimes. We're kids, whatever. We do stupid stuff.
Yeah.
What was your favorite memory about TV21 then? What was, as far as the publication? It's interesting. And listen, I tell everybody too, before you answer that, go to YouTube, because there's a ton of information. There's a lot of people, a lot of British YouTubers that talk about this, and the same age group you are. And they talk about, when they were 10 and during the 60s, and, reading these books changed everything for them. It taught them how to read. It's, it's really inspiring. So, I mean, go check it out. Go check it out.
The two biggest memories I have of TV21, apart from wow, when it came out, two, we've covered one. One was the artwork side, where for the first time I realized that you could do that kind of work, because I just thought cartoons were just in black and white.
Right.
You could color them, but the way you could color them, I should say, you could use paints and things. So I started doing it after that. I even used colored biros at one point to color it. Imagine coloring somebody's red shirt with a biro. Imagine doing that. And then the other thing was that on the back of TV21, the Daleks were in, and the Daleks obviously aren't Jerry Anderson, but there was they were created by Terry Nation, the Daleks. I don't think he created Doctor Who. He might have done, but he created the Daleks. And what he did was he let and the BBC. Well, he owns the Daleks. Even now, his estate owns the Daleks.
Could you imagine?
They can only be used on Doctor Who with their permission. So I guess that's a nice little earner over the years.
Oh yeah.
And but the Daleks were on the back. I couldn't work that one out because everything else was Jerry Anderson. It was only later when I learned about the contracts and all that kind of thing. But so those are my big memories. But the main one is the artwork. How outstanding the artwork was.
And who was your favorite artist out of all of them?
I would say Mike Noble.
Yeah,
the Captain Scarlet one there. Yeah. But Frank Bellamy was like Kirby to me. When you first saw it, you think, oh, that's a bit quirky. It's a bit, I'm not sure about it. It jars a bit. But when you get into it, you realize how brilliant it is. And but Frank Bellamy drew Garth later. You've seen that. You've seen it in black and white.
Yep.
And he died. He was the same age as Kirby, but he died when he was 59. He died in 1976 when he was 59.
God, just starting, man.
Just
59.
But what he wanted to do, Frank Bellamy, was be a nature artist. Because if you read the Thunderbird stories that he does, there's a lot of rhinos, and the stories are in Africa, and there's a lot of Maasai warriors in and things like that. And he draws them superb, absolutely brilliant. So,
that was his
my
passion,
favorite was. Yeah, my favorite, if I was pinned down, would be Mike Noble.
Yeah, I was watching before we got on air here this morning. I was watching a special on him, in his history. His drawing
Yeah,
history and how it started and what he used. And he died in 2018, right?
yeah. I think it's like
And
84 or something.
yeah, good. I mean, good long life. That's good.
Yeah, oh, yeah,
84
yeah,
is good. And they were talking about how he just revolutionized away a lot of these, just the way, not really comics, but just the way publication was, the way that he did perspectives, the way that he did
yeah,
mechanical work, the
yeah,
mechanical side of the actual rocket ships, and the technology was just incredible.
yeah.
And it was all done with paint, and
Yeah.
that's a huge, huge feat in
I think
itself.
when you see, it's the same with Bellamy. When you see his black and white artwork,
Hmm.
there's a lot of open line, and they would, especially Frank Bellamy, if he had, say, Scott Tracy standing there,
Hmm.
he would, because Scott Tracy got a blue uniform on, which
Hmm.
would blend in or be a different shade of blue, he would leave, there'd be no black line, and he would leave white. The blue would go into the white of the curve, and then the sky would appear. So he'd be framed by the sky, and it's just a superb way to do things.
Mm.
Whereas in American comics, the line is
Yeah,
always
the
closed.
ink, yeah, right.
Yeah, but there's a lot of that. But so what happens is when you see Mike Noble's black and white work later, where he just uses a wash, a grey wash, and his open line, you can see how they would work just in black and white, and they would work equally as well, because his spotting of blacks was so good.
Yeah.
But when he was doing it in color, he would be, this will sound contradictory, but you'll know what I mean. He was spotting blacks in color. You understand what I mean? And it's just a fantastic technique these guys had. And to think that Bellamy was doing one of those spreads in 2 days, from Monday morning, blank piece of board, Tuesday evening, it was done.
Yeah. Well, as an artist, how, I mean, that's an amazing feat.
And also Frank Bellamy and those guys were really good designers of pages as well, because as I said, they got a script with 17 frames. They had to produce there was 18 frames. One was the title frame and the recap or the introduction, and then they had to tell the story in 17 panels. And you look at Bellamy's design when he'd have Thunderbird 1 going right across the page, but he's got 16 panels left now to tell the story, and they're always perfect. Check them out.
And that's it was weekly. They were producing it
weekly,
which is nuts. So they must have had probably 2 months out, you think, before they had to have.
I would think so, yeah.
For the production schedule, just
but
insane.
It's interesting that the major artists were Bellamy, Mike Noble, and Ron Embleton. They would only do at the most 3 pages, and because it wasn't color throughout the magazine, the double spread would be in color, and the 3rd page was always in a wash, a gray wash.
Okay.
So, but
man, it really did make an effect on you, man. You can tell it's still
it will always be there. I'm just so grateful I've discovered it. It's just wonderful. But I saw it when it was new.
Have you seen any? They didn't run a reproduction or anything of it? Do you have a copy of anything did you ever find them again, or did you ever go back and get one? Or?
I've got some reprints.
Good. They did reprint them.
Yes, but what they did was I could never work this out. I'm not a printer, but I know a bit about printing. And when you get a printed page in color and you put another screen on it, you get that moire effect.
Yeah. Yep.
Well, somebody scanned these from printed pages on the reprints, and all you've got is this horrible moire effect.
Yeah.
I mean, they've done the best they can, and I don't know where that artwork is, although I have seen some original Bellamy artwork from Thunderbirds.
And it'd be nice to see if they do a digital version of that, to where you could go back and get digital copy of it. That'd be, from the originals. Yeah, and that'd be great.
But I don't know where the originals are. I've seen one Frank Bellamy original, and that was about 10 years ago. So it would be 40 years old then, and the colours were still as sharp. Dr. Martin's dyes are just as sharp as anything. Absolute genius, fabulous. I'd love to, like Kirby, I'd like to be standing behind him for those 2 days and just watch what he did.
Yeah, yeah. It's a real luxury that we've got now, because we can get on anybody's stream and then we can watch them create. It's amazing, really, when you think about it. Could you imagine having that
Now with
catalog
Kirby,
of
yeah,
Kirby or
yeah.
any of them. I mean,
Well,
Mike
that's
Mignola, any of them. It'd be insane.
that's what makes my just a quick plug here for my film. That's what makes it so
Yeah.
unique. You can
Oh,
see
it
me
is.
talking
Yeah.
and stuff like that. You know?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. And that's,
Mm.
when, like I was telling people, and I told everybody this even off air. What you've done is you've given people an opportunity that I think is really going to set standard for documentary for the future. I mean, people aren't going to have this. It's not going to be just click and paste of videos of people, them talking or them at work, or you've gotten a personal day with Kirby.
Yeah.
Unheard of. I mean,
You
really
know,
unheard of.
when some people see it, they complain about the quality of it, and I think
Mhm.
that adds to it. And it's like this. I put those people with the same people who complain that you can see the strings on Thunderbirds. That's part of it.
Yeah,
That's part
right,
of the
right.
charm. He's not
Yeah.
trying to say these are real people. They're
Mhm.
marionettes.
Yeah.
They're about 25 inches high. These guys, and these sets must be amazing.
Yeah.
And that's
Right,
part
right.
of it. I think that's not the best part of it, but you see the strings, and so what?
It's the full experience. It's
Yeah,
not whether it's, completely polished,
yeah.
and
It's
that's, I think
it's
we I think we lose that, you
yeah.
and I are, we appreciate digital work. You and I
Of
both,
course,
and we
yeah,
both,
of
and we do
course,
digital work for that matter.
yeah.
A lot of the work that we do is crossed over digital, but there's something about the imperfections,
It's
the
the
perfection and imperfection. I mean, that's
it's the vinyl against the CD again.
yes, yeah. It's just
We've all
another
got
way
the
to
CDs.
experience it.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah,
Um, and in that too, the magazines that you could pick up maybe now, maybe a swap meet or something like that of these TV 21s, they might not be in the best of shape, but like I said, with a lot of these comics that we go through, not all of them are going to be perfect, and they're not, but
no,
they're going to be reader copies, and they're going to be able to be open, and they're going to be able to be enjoyed, and that's in they're time machines.
yeah.
They're 25-cent time machines,
I
How
think
much did they run? How much did the magazines run at the time?
I was just going to say that when it came out, I
Yeah.
think I'm not sure.
Did it give a
Came
price
out.
on this? How many
It's
pence?
I can't see it.
I can't either. But okay.
Oh, just hang on a second. I'll just look in
Yeah.
my. When they printed 1 million copies of that
God, a week?
a week.
Oh my God.
This Captain Scarlet one is 7D, 7 pence.
7 pence. So
pence.
it's roughly 5 cents, 10 cents.
Yeah, yeah.
Exchange rate back then was crazy.
I don't know.
The American dollar was unbelievable back then.
I think it was 4 to the pound or something.
Yeah.
They were printed 1 million a week. The first run was 1 million.
In that process, in that extensive
that format, yeah.
Incredible.
And then I might be wrong on this, and somebody might, not sure about the audience whether it's European, but somebody might correct me on this. The first one, they printed 1 million copies, and the second issue, they ran 2 million copies. So they doubled the print run in a week.
And I'm sure you could find. I am sure that if you really looked, you could find copies.
Oh yeah,
original copies.
They're going for quite a price as well. I've seen them. Yeah.
Are they?
Yeah.
Because I think that's that would be nice to, even if they aren't. I don't think they'd be graded or anything like that, but would be nice to have. As a memento.
Well, could you imagine Retrieve being published 1 million this week?
Sure.
And then next week it was 2 million because of the response. Wouldn't that be something?
I think it wouldn't. I don't think it would be in print. I think it might be in digital format.
Well,
now
I'm talking about print.
But back in the day,
throwing copies on the back of the wagon and sending them to all the news agents. We don't have news agents anymore, do we?
They get excited about a million comics sold in a month.
Yeah.
I mean, a week. Can you imagine a week?
Yeah, a week.
God. It was newsprint then with product. It was put
no.
on
I can't. I don't know what the paper was, but it was a shiny paper. It's a really high quality paper because otherwise there would have been no point in doing the photogravure.
Right. I wonder whose idea that was to do that.
I think it was probably Jerry Anderson's and Fennell's, because I think they wanted to make a quality product.
Yeah.
Because they got the top artists. Because Frank Bellamy drew Dan Dare before.
Oh yeah.
This.
Yeah.
So he was well known.
Yeah.
I don't know where the other guys sort of came from, so to speak, because Ron Embleton was like, he did Stingray. He was like Barry Windsor Smith. He was more of a painter, illustrator than a comic book guy.
Yeah.
But his work is superb, like Barry Windsor Smith. And you had Ron Turner there, and there's a guy called Rab Hamilton. I've never been able to find anything about him. If you go to Super Spies #1, I wrote an article about Agent 21, right? And the guy was called Rab Hamilton. He's a Scottish guy, and I can't find out anything about him. But his work is super.
Rab, though, R-A-B?
Yeah, it's Scottish for Rob.
Right.
Rab, R-A-B, Rab Hamilton. He's probably dead now, but he drew Agent 21 because what they did in TV 21, they had Agent 21, and he worked for a toy manufacturer. He was like James Bond, and all these toys were being sold all over the world. So he'd go to the outlets when something was going on. Absolutely brilliant. And he's in Super Spies. You should see him in there. And I want that strip. I love that strip. That was one of the best strips in it. It was fabulous.
It's cool. We should run an article on him on Comics Unlimited, just a recap of the old Spy. If you still have it, we should do
But like I said, I can't find anything out about him really.
Yeah, why not? We should do it on ours. I'd love to read about him. I'm sure other people would. Especially if there's not much about him.
I'm sure somebody will know.
But that's good.
Fabulous.
That's excellent. Now, was it? It was obviously a staple book. It wasn't. It didn't have like.
It was stapled. Yeah, I think it was. I think it was 36 pages.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't like, I'm thinking like 100 pages or something.
No,
36
it
was still sizable for a weekly print.
And it was tabloid size, so it was quite a nice size. And I'll tell you what it was. And this is looking at all those comics from around that time. It was quality. It was quality reproduction and quality artwork rather than, not that the cartoony artwork isn't good, but it was printed on newsprint and pulpy crap, for cheapness. But this thing wasn't cheap. It was a lot more money than the Beano. I think it was twice the price of a Beano or a Topper.
Yeah.
So it stretched it a bit, but I always got one. I had a paper round, and I spent it on that.
Every week, though. Wow.
Every week. All the kids I knew at that point were finding these things called cigarettes and stuff like that. And I thought, no, I don't need any of that. I'd rather read the comic, than kill myself.
Yeah, right. Well, that's the way it works sometimes. You see it today too. I mean, the same thing. That's awesome. I learned something new today. Fascinating stuff. Why did they call it TV 21?
Well, television.
Okay.
And Century 21. That's
21. Okay, got it. Okay.
It was in the 21st century. That's what that was about.
Yeah.
But if you ever look through them online, or you get hold of one, you'll see at the bottom it says, the date. It'll say Dateline, August the 9th, 2065. When it was 1965.
That's really cool. Well, and then you're building that whole era. Whether it was the vehicles, whether it was cars, everything else, everything space race, it was all towards that movement,
Alan Fennell, he was brilliant, because what he did was, I think it was when TV 21 went into. Oh no! You've seen Lady Penelope.
Yeah,
she had her own comic as well.
Really?
Yeah. So get this. I'll tell you this story. This is funny. So Lady Penelope gets a comic. Well, it's obviously for girls, isn't it? And I thought, I've got to read that. Because the Man from U.N.C.L.E. was in it, Ilya Kuryakin, and all that stuff was in it.
Sure.
And I like all that, and I thought, I've got to get this comic, but I can't buy this comic. I'll be the laughing stock. A boy buying a girl's comic.
Yep.
Well, this saved me, because in the first one was a free gift, because we used to get free gifts in our comics. In the first Lady Penelope was what I would call a sou'wester, like a plastic hat that a woman would wear to keep her hair dry in the rain.
Yeah.
Well, and this was free, so I bought this comic, and they all said, "Why have you bought that?" I bought this. I'm going to give it as a present to my mum.
Oh, brilliant!
Genius, you see. And then I just used to carry on buying it, and nobody questioned it. So it was brilliant.
That's
But
great.
I'll tell you, if you're reading, I'm not sure which one. I think it's Comics Unlimited number 2.
Mm-hmm.
My wife Helen, when I was doing this magazine, she said, "What about this?" And she has a letter from Lady Penelope
Really?
from 1966. She won a competition. She won a fur coat. It wasn't a real one, but a fur coat. And there's a photograph of her in it, like this, age
Wow.
9 with this coat on. And so she wrote an article for me, and it's in Comics Unlimited number 2.
That's great,
So
man. I didn't know that. I'll have to
send
check
it to
that
you.
one
I'll let you
out.
see it,
Yeah, that's great. That's
So,
awesome.
In fact, it was so good, the article. It was in Crikey to start with, but it was only in black and white. I thought, sod this, I'm going to reproduce it in colour because the photograph's in colour. So
I got to do it.
I put it in Comics Unlimited again.
That's awesome.
But she kept this letter. She still got this letter from 1966.
Well, that's great, man.
Lady Penelope. And it's just absolutely brilliant.
What a small world. Who would have thought?
Yeah.
You know? Well, Jack Kirby drew a lot of the romance books too, though.
Yeah, he created the line. Him and Joe Simon.
Right. So, and I've got quite a few of them here, and it's like, wow. I never bought them, but we've got them now. It's like, wow. So, it's funny how.
Well, what they did was in Lady Penelope magazine,
mm-hmm.
and it was exactly the same. It was like its companion to TV21. It was the same size and the same printing and all that kind of thing. Different artists on the strips, but they were very clever, because what they did was they introduced a couple of years into the run. They introduced a new strip called The Angels, and it was about these 5 girls who went flying around these special jet aircraft. And of course, then we got Captain Scarlet with the Angels, and it was them. It was they never mentioned Spectrum, they never mentioned Captain Scarlet. It was just the Angels, and that these really neat jet fighters. And you think, where do these girls get these jet fighters from?
Yeah.
And then you find out that they work for Spectrum and Colonel White and all that kind of stuff. Just a great lead in, to think.
Sounds like a little bit of Charlie's Angels was based off of that. Interesting.
It sounds like it, yeah. But 10 years later, yeah. So it was
fascinating.
Fabulous magazines.
Yeah.
Fabulous.
Man, that was good. That was a good show. I enjoyed that. I know that there's not we didn't have much as far as pictures in that, but the story itself, and watching you how excited you get as far as remembering the memories.
Great.
And that.
I love it.
It's just fantastic. But yeah, if you see these type of books, any of the TV21 series and that, whether they're digital, online, or whatever, let us know. I mean, get the information to us, because I'd love to find out a little bit more about that. If you're a collector. I know YouTube's got a lot of things on them about the different artists that were in them, and the your era of what people, your generation of what the kids really enjoyed about it. So, but the printing side of it is amazing. The amount of time and the method that they had to produce this.
Yeah, like I said, I just love the fact that I don't know who it was, but I would imagine it was Jerry Anderson and Alan Fennell. Maybe Alan Fennell, I would have thought, for the most part. But the way they've obviously sat down, and it's clear that it's a vehicle for Jerry Anderson merchandise and
of course,
and TV show. But what's wrong with that? I didn't mind giving me money up for it. I was getting a double dose. I was getting Thunderbirds on Friday night, and then TV21 on Tuesday morning.
Sure,
it was wonderful. But I think they hats off to them for wanting to produce such a quality magazine with quality artwork and quality reproduction. Because you see Kirby's work from the 60s and all those guys, Gene Cole and all those guys, and the printing isn't, while it's nostalgic and nice, it's not the best printing.
No, right.
But it's not produced for that, because it came at the back of the pulp era, didn't it? All that stuff. So mass produced.
Yeah.
So
I know that's that's something. Wow. How many people do you think? How many kids in that era probably bought that magazine? If they were printing 1 million, they probably sold 500,000. You think?
I think, a lot. I bet there was a million overall, at least, because those you won't know, but those shows were the talk of the town. My mum and dad, everybody's mum and dad used to hurry up doing something because Thunderbirds was coming on.
Mm-hmm.
And don't forget, in those days, in the hundreds of years ago, when I was 300 years old, then you had to watch it then, or you didn't see it again.
Oh, that was it. Yeah.
If you missed it, you missed it. Now you can just watch it anytime you want. It's like the books. I said to you and Craig, it's like books. Nobody ever read anything, and now you've got a chance to read it all with the web. nobody reads anything.
Because we'll get to it later.
Yeah.
That's the
When
procrastination.
we used to have our tea and sit, and Thunderbirds came on about 6 o'clock, I think. We'd have our tea and we'd sit there and we'd just watch.
Well, that's why they were so insane. I mean, one of the things I have to say though, in streaming now in today's world, with Disney Plus and Netflix and everything else, you can really get into a binge watch. I mean, really binge watching a lot of shows. And I can say, so it's just a different way of digesting it. I mean, if you're interested in it, you're going to watch it. If you're interested in it, you're going to read it, if you're a reader.
Well,
I mean, that's the way I look at it. But
if you watch the actual Thunderbirds program, and all of them, but mainly Thunderbirds, they were like, do you remember when you've seen the James Bond with Sean Connery?
Oh yeah.
When the music is part of it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Thunderbirds was like that, but now they just throw any music on, and it a lot of the time. But so when you watch Thunderbirds on the TV, the music gripped you.
Yeah. I mean, that's one of the things about the Star Wars Kenobi show, especially recently. Everything is based around the first music that John Williams did in the first three movies, New Hope, and the first movies, Star Wars, 3, 4, 5, and it was 4. What is it? 4, 5, 6, and it ended up. It's so pivotal in the story. Like when Kenobi's song comes on, you're like, oh. Or when Darth Vader walks in and his music starts. I mean, or Princess Leia. It's so. You're completely submerged in it.
Yeah, and that's what was good about that kind of show. And the music. There's a. If you watch the first episode of Thunderbirds, there's a Fireflash airliner. Have you seen that? That's the best designed aircraft you have ever seen.
Oh yeah, the aircraft. Yeah, oh yeah.
And they can't lower the wheels because there's a bomb on board. Yeah, and they have to get these trucks either side of the wings, and they land it on these. Oh, cool. And the music is. Oh, you got to just go to YouTube, everybody, and tap in Thunderbirds Fireflash. And watch that. That is incredible, and it just. As you can see, I'm 10 years old again. It's absolutely, and there's a bit where the wings are coming down, and there's these outrider things, the platforms, and Virgil Tracy's driving these master platform, and the main body goes on his, and the wings drop to the side on these others, and the wings is the little buggy that the wing's supposed to go on isn't quite underneath. And then it goes lift port wing, lift, and he just lifts it up, and it goes. It's absolutely fantastic. I love it.
It's awesome. I just love to see you so excited about it. That's.
In fact, when we go, I'm going to watch it.
Heck yeah. I'm excited now. I want to go watch it. I still am a big fan of Ultraman, and that whole era, even though it was, it was always dubbed over and everything else, really cheesy, or like Johnny Sacco and the Giant Robot. Another big one that I used to watch when I was a kid. This is like they were 15 years old when I was growing up. So they were like old. They've been off the air for a decade, and I love that whole era. I've got a Godzilla magazine that I buy, and it's still it goes over stuff of the old, the old pictures, the old sets, I mean, that whole era. So I get what you're saying. I can totally understand.
Did you get? Oh, you must have known because it's American. Did you get Marine Boy?
No, I don't.
In the early 70s, because at college we used to drive each other crazy. Because in Marine Boy, it's like a Japanese anime thing.
Okay.
And what he'd do 50 times a day episode, Marine Boy, he'd be swimming in the sea, and a big shark would go, and he'd go, and
that was it.
So and then he'd have a fight, and then somebody else. That's all he did, and then we used to when we were at college. This was when we were at college on Saturday mornings. We used to go in on Monday, and we'd all walk in the class, and you'd look at somebody, and they'd go. Oh, excuse me.
God, you guys are nuts. You guys are crazy. Always a pleasure, man. This is fun. If you guys like this talking for an hour and that, please like and share this out. We really appreciate it. If you guys are on Twitch, and please follow us on Ted Davies Artist on Twitch too. That would be great. We would appreciate the follow. What do you got there?
This little known book about my trip to Jack Kirby's house, words and pictures, and you can also get DVD with it and see me actually talking with him. So on Indiegogo right now.
Yep. you see Jack the Man. We also want to talk about Comics Unlimited.
Yeah, that's on Amazon right now.
Right, they're available on Kindle as well as hard copy, which I like the the real thing to the books itself.
And I've already got, I think it's 4 articles done for the next issue. So
yeah, we're ready to roll. So we got to have a meeting on that too. Hey, Clyde and Brian, glad you guys showed up. Little late at the ending, but hey, you can watch the playback. Yeah, check out everything that we're doing. I've got a lot going on next week. I know that we're going to be I'm taking a week off with the new show and that. We're not going to start that till July 5th. But I might do an impromptu setup next week. I don't know. We'll have to see how it goes. But I got a few things happening. But
we could do a show on Super Spies.
We could, you know what? Yeah, next Thursday or whenever you want to do it. I wanted to do that anyway because we were talking about. If you guys don't know what Super Spies is, go ahead and tell them real quick.
Well, it's another magazine I dreamt up years ago. It's about super spies and secret agents in film and comic strips. You know, in the first issue we've got Nick Fury, we've got Stingray, we've got Avengers, all these different TV shows and film. It's called Super Spies and Secret Agents. It's on Amazon. You can get it on Amazon as well. Yep. I'm looking forward to reintroducing that.
It's going to be a great. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Great stuff in there. Yeah. And I'm gonna try again to get some information on Rob Hamilton because he's such a fabulous artist.
And I think if you can find we'll run that again on Comics Unlimited, maybe on the next the next quarter. I would love to see his work get out there and some of the information. Yeah, and I appreciate you guys liking and sharing this out. We appreciate it greatly. So I will be I'll be talking to you soon. Let's see, we've got it'll be about another week. We'll see. I know that John Celestri and I will have another Feed the Beast posting here soon. But that's about it right now. I appreciate you guys stopping in, and we will talk to you. Try to have a good. I'm actually gonna. Do you mind if I run the new promo for the new show that's going to be coming up?
Not at all. You go for it.
All right, cool. So you guys can on the ending of the show, I'm going to show you the new promo for my new drawing show that's coming out soon. We'll see you soon. Thanks, man.
See ya.